Okay, I'm one of the ones, a new creation, one who believes I am a child of God, a holy nation, friend of the king. I am protected and I am loved, I am an heir, so on the seas I've been forgiven, I have been freed, I have been chosen, I've been redeemed. Okay, I'm one of the ones. One of who? One of the unashamed, I mean unashamed. Never do I hesitate or doubt to call upon his name. Call him mighty God, call him Jesus Christ. He's the King of Kings, he's the one who reigns. He's the Alpha, Omega, Jehovah, and we give him glory cause he is the one. Yeah, though we walk through the valley, we were not fearing the evil. We running and not growing weary. We soaring on wings like we eagles. We getting rid of our pride and stepping away from our ego. We keep our lips from telling lies, our tongues from speaking the evil. We got on the armor of God, the belt, the truth, the shoes, the peace. We know that the devil's a lie. The word about him will lose and sleep. We been depending on God. He said his grace is all we need. So where we keeping our minds? We keeping our minds stayed on me. Cause he is the one. I done been in the world, but I never been friends with the world. Maybe because I'm not of the world, I don't follow the world. Even if I'm meant to take an L, then it's probably out of this world. I'm a model of the world, I'm a represent God on this earth. In and outside of the church, the Father is first. I don't have a physical Bible, but baby, my Bible that broke. I know God is the one that supplies me with all that I need. That is through Jesus Christ, and I'm certain that all things are possible if you believe. So keep on speaking life. I know from the love of God that nothing can separate me. Not even death, neither life. I know poverty catches up with too much slumber or sleep. So I'ma just sleep at night, and the Lord is my strength. Well, who should I be afraid of? I fall on my knees and repent. He's better than what I done gave her. If I am the one being sent, Satan gon' see what I'm made of. Man, if you had any sins, I'm telling you now, he would change her. It's a delicate thing when I say I'm a step for the king. I put that on everything. With a mess, now I'm clean. I don't mess with the devil, it stings. I love and respect Elohim, he be setting us free. We know that all things are working together, declare and decree. Do you know of all the things God has prepared for me? No, it's never been seen. Okay, I'm one of the ones, a new creation, one who believes I am a child of God, a holy nation, friend of the king. I am protected and I am loved, I am an heir, so on the seas I've been forgiven, I have been freed, I have been chosen, I've been redeemed. Okay, I'm one of the ones. One of who? One of the unashamed, I mean unashamed. Never do I hesitate or doubt to call upon his name. Call him mighty God, call him Jesus Christ. He's the King of Kings, he's the one who reigns. He's the Alpha, Omega, Jehovah, and we give him glory cause he is the one.
It's another Tuesday night, blackmarket.tv. Share, like, subscribe, all that jazz. We got Solo 350 and Dr. Derrick Colon here. What's good, homie?
What up, everybody? Pray everybody is well. Pray everybody is blessed. Thank everybody for tuning in. I hope that everybody got home well. Bless those on their way home. Bless all your kids who went back to school this week. Tune in, hit the comments, share, like, subscribe. We got an amazing episode today. I'm gonna take it easy on y'all because we have guests. Other than that, you already know all y'all ugly to me, but by the blood of Jesus, you have been redeemed and you're good to go. You heard?
What's up, Dr. Derrick Colon? How you doing today, man?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having me. Man. Doing well.
Yeah, and you
doing well. Look forward to this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. We got some interesting stuff. We got some interesting history to dive into. Solo, I've been telling you about this for a while.
I can't wait, son.
About the documentary that's coming out. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We've got we're going to talk a little bit about the pre-screens and some of the journey that you took to get here to this documentary. And this is not the first thing you've done. You've had a book that you've written and stuff like that too as well, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
so we got a few things over here to hop and talk about today. Before we do that, because I'm on my Loud on 7th binge right now, solo. We got Loud on 7th coming out in September. Next month. We're like 3 weeks away right now?
I remember you talking about this in April, son, and it was like, why are you talking about it now? And literally it just spun the block and we here.
Yeah. Like it came
Shout out
fast.
shout out to H, man. H steps his game up every single year. He brings out new events. He brings out the city. So salute to him, man, and salute to what he represents. Salute to where he's going with it. This is probably, to me, the only type of event that never causes chaos, it never causes drama, it never causes fights. Every event that I've gone of H has been, everybody has been in love. Everything has producers, artists, they all come together and they informative to each other. He brings opportunities to the artists, to the producers. I can't say much. There's not much I can say about the man. Everybody knows his character and what he does for the city.
Yeah, and just so you know, Dr. Colon, this is actually this is a festival that we have out here once a year. We've been doing it for a few years now. It's basically a lot of independent artists, independent producers. It's a whole network of people that come together each year for. Right now, it's a whole week of events, and you know you have like the Beats and Bars that are here, which is a producer and an MC event where they kind of go head to head and match up stuff. You have some battles that are going on that day as well, that week as well. We're actually going to be streaming live from the kickoff party and the MC battles as well, and then doing the commentary of the battles. So that way y'all know. So that's coming up in September. So I'm excited about that. Also doing a boxing match, apparently solo. So I'll have more details on that. We're going to be streaming a boxing match live. It's a youth boxing league.
That's the 14th.
Yeah. The same week.
Is that okay?
Same week.
That's Canelo versus Berlanga.
You right about that, ain't you?
That's Canelo versus Berlanga. That's Mexico versus Puerto Rico that night. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to see that fight too. I'm gonna have to see the after.
Why? It's an event at night.
What?
That event, is it at night?
It's all day. Yeah. It's from the morning and it's in Ocala.
Don't worry about it. You got Wi-Fi. I got the PPV on the tablet. You heard?
So yeah, so we will have Wi-Fi. Yes, very strong Wi-Fi because we've got a stream, but I don't know about that. But we'll be doing the commentating table. I mean, but the fights ain't till what, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock usually?
Yeah. You got no time to get home and chill.
Oh, yeah. And we'll be in Ocala, so we'll be coming back, and we'll be back. I'll be right back in time for the fight. We might just do that.
I just go to your house.
Yeah. Might just do that. I had the after party at my crib. You know?
I don't know. Your party's a little shaky for me, B. I don't know, son.
My parties do not be shaky. I don't even be partying. We just be having the live music reviews. The biggest. That's the closest thing. Although we did tone it down. I told Los that he couldn't drink as much during the live reviews because the live reviews, if he gets too swervy, then he starts talking over people and stuff like that. So, but that's my dog. So we got that too coming the next week. Coming up. It's like a week and a half, right? The 30th.
Mm-hmm.
That's the live music review. So we got that coming up too. So a lot of stuff going on, exciting stuff.
Yes.
And things like that. So one of those things is this weekend, by private invite only. We're gonna have a pre-screen with Dr. Colon and have a private discussion with a few people by invite only. Tell us a little bit about the documentary, Dr. Colon. Tell us what inspired it and what it's about.
Yeah, man. So we'll start with what inspired it.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my man Randy were conversating. Of course, you know, we're in the midst of these conversations with that group, you know, FBA and all of those guys, you know, who are trying to, you know, make the claim that Latinos, mainly New Yorkers, really had nothing to do with hip hop at its inception. So one question that was asked by them was, what did you bring from Puerto Rican culture? So this was, you know, a year ago. So we started just sort of going into the think tank and thinking about what we could do. It was just going to be initially just a little video. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And we started getting people that were, you know, interested in sharing the information. So we said, well, we got to take it back to Africa, and we got to take it back to the Caribbean, and we got to take it back to the breakbeats. And that's really, you know, foundation of the culture of hip hop, or the breakbeats, and the b-boys as well. But so, you know, I said, okay, let's start talking to people. Let's start interviewing people, and that's the journey. So we begin from Africa into the Caribbean, from the Caribbean into the States through slavery. We talk about bomba. We talk about, you know, the early 1900s, where we see, this is pre-jazz, ragtime, the big bands. We see Puerto Ricans were part of those groups. People like James Reese Europe, people like Fletcher Henderson, Duke Ellington. This is the early 1900s. And then we get to really the pivotal, the shift, because that music was not really, it was big band. It was, you know, there was not really a Latin flavor to that until you get to like Duke Ellington and Juan Tisol, which is the guy who wrote Caravan. And Caravan is the video that, you know, these guys keep trying to show, where, you know, it's like the farm scene. They're on some kind of farm, and it's like the black and white film, and they show the guy doing a breaking move where he looks like he's doing swipes, and that's Caravan. That's the Mills Brothers. The Caravan originally was written by Juan Tisol, who is a Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico. And so that's in the Duke Ellington library. So we touch on that a little bit. But you hear in Caravan some Latin flavor, but it's not really Latin percussion. It's a different, it starts to shift. And then we get to the 1940s, and we get to people like Dizzy Gillespie. Well, Dizzy. So Mario Balsa was already playing with Chick Webb's band, and Gillespie was with Mario. So Gillespie was going to start his own band. I don't want to give too much away, but so he's starting his own band, and he goes to Mario, who is a Cuban, and he says, I want somebody who plays those, you know, he didn't even know what they were called, you know. So the real gist is that African-American musicians before what I'm about to tell you, did not use Afro percussive instruments at all, whatsoever. So, so we get to Dizzy. He goes to Mario. Mario introduces him to Chano Pozo, who is another Afro-Cuban. And Chano Pozo joins the band, and he starts presenting Dizzy with his arrangements. And one of the arrangements, he comes to him with the song, and it's the famous song called Manteca. And that's the first time where you see the Afro-Cuban and jazz mix, right? And from then on, it's a wrap. From then on, every other genre of music, literally Latin music, influences, doo-wop. You hear it in doo-wop. It influences jazz. It changes jazz. If it wasn't for the Latin musicians that came, jazz would have been very linear. It would have been, it wouldn't have had that what they call the Latin tinge. It's that flavor. It wouldn't have had that. So we brought that to the table. And then it goes into, you see it in doo-wop, the 50s. You see it in, funk in the 60s. You see it in disco. And then you see it in the earliest iteration of rap music, the early rap records themselves. But even before the rap records in the 70s, when the MCs finally come on the scene and they're rapping over breaks, a lot of those breaks contained, the Latin percussion, Afro percussive instruments.
Mm.
And so that's really the gist of it, to really show that, Latinos, mainly really Puerto Ricans and Cubans and Puerto Ricans, however you want to put that, had a hand in the sound that would end up on the breaks, right? And so we understand those records were created by African-American bands, not all of them, but a lot of them. But so what we trace is the influence. Okay, what did we bring from our culture was the question. Well, that's what we brought from our culture. And you were inspired by that sound. And again, the Latin breakdown is not, we're not saying those breaks were Latin records. We're saying they were segments of funk records. There were segments of jazz records. There were segments of rock records that had a certain portion that you heard two really powerful factors. You heard funk, heavy funk with heavy Latin percussions. And that's what you heard. And so we just watched the Olympics. As I watched the Olympics, I'm blown away, because this documentary is about to drop, and everything we're talking about in the documentary was literally played at the Olympics, right? So the B-girl and B-boy competitions, the DJs were playing Latin breaks. They were play, like you heard the Latin breakdown. I'd say 90% of the songs they did play, MCs, but the majority were these breaks and rare breaks that nobody really knows about. And so that's really the gist of the documentary. So we take it from the origins, Africa. We go to jazz. We go to, I'm just trying to give the breakdown if I can remember it. We go from jazz. We go to, what's next? What's after jazz? We go to Machito and his Afro-Cubans, which again, that's very misleading, because Machito and his Afro-Cubans was not an Afro-Cuban band. It was, the rhythm section was mainly Puerto Ricans. There were African-Americans in that band. And then Machito himself was Cuban. So we talk about that. We get into, again, bomba. We give a nice history of bomba, and that we don't say it's a precursor. We say the similarities are striking, and we show those similarities, and then we get into wow, I'm having a brain fart right now. We get into from jazz. We go into, it's slipping my mind right now, but there's a lot that we go into. There's like 9 chapters. We break it up by chapters. We definitely go into rap music. We go into the B-boys. We go into rock, original rock dancing, which is the precursor to B-boying. We give a history on that. It's loaded with information, but not just talking heads. It's really giving you're going to see what we're talking about. We're going to let you hear what we're talking about with these examples. And so we got some powerhouses, that dedicated their time. Shout out to them. Like people like, Felipe Luciano from The Last Poets, the Young Lords, Cole Rodriguez, hip hop historian. We got Randy, we got Andrina Scassa. I might not say everybody. We got Frank Rojas, who is, one of the original rock dancers. We got Bobito Garcia, Cool Bob Love, who's a real prominent DJ in the 90s. His show with Stretch and Bobbito.
Stretch and
So
Bobbito.
Bobbito yeah,
a lot of records got broke on that one.
Absolutely. So he shares, the breaks that he was playing. We got DJ Talim. We got Tuffy Questel from Video Music Box. He shares. And there's so many others, man. It's just slipping my mind right now. But it's about an hour and 25-minute documentary. And I think we're going to just take people, on a journey to see that, above all else, this. I want people to understand something. This is not me championing hip hop culture for the sake of championing hip hop culture. This is not me doing that. This is me as a history teacher, as a as a historian, breaking down that history. And ultimately, of course, my frame of mind as a believer is that, really, there's only one creator of the culture, and that's the creator, right? And so, I come at it from that frame of mind. He gave us all these talents and these gifts. But, we got to be responsible on how we use those gifts and talents. But it's a major history lesson that I could not have done by myself. And shout out to you for even, being willing to show this. We got prominent B-boys that are speaking.
I heard Dolo in this one. I heard Dolo in this one.
Dolo is,
yeah. That's why Solo put a post up during the Olympics. It was like, I need Dolo in the Olympics next time. Talking about Lito.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Lito, yeah. Absolutely.
Solo, you awake, bro? I see you over there.
I'm soaking it all in, son. Let me be, son.
All right. So Dr. Colon, so I got a question for you. So based on what you just said now, what it sounds like to me is that, because I hear what you're saying, I seen those debates going back and forth. And they go and I see that I've seen that question, like, what have you guys really contributed? Like, what did you contribute at all that even sounds remotely Puerto Rican or whatever like that? And I think Solo sent me a TikTok with some dude saying that Puerto Ricans have no culture and that
he's literally on a rant on how not only Puerto Ricans had no involvement, but he go as far as to say Puerto Ricans have no culture. And everything that we've done off the strength of somebody else, or we've copied from somebody else. And as much as I want to just wring his neck, you know what I'm saying, I gotta have some common sense and just let it be, because only fools quarrel. So this right here allows me to, because again, I don't know everything. I wasn't born that far back. Even though I enjoy hip hop and I love hip hop, I don't know this information. So this is great information for me to understand, because obviously I don't believe that. I don't pay attention to that, but it's also good to be informative instead of being argumentative. You know what I'm saying? So let's.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And what it sounds like is that you're basically taking it back to the rhythm itself and saying for decades prior, there has been an influence from us Latinos, from the islands specifically, because that's really what their issue is. Not even with just Puerto Ricans, it's any of the islands. They're saying that even Jamaicans had nothing to do with this, right?
Let me ask you a question, Eric. At some point, will you be able to play Microphone Prince's video of the theme song?
Yeah, I think I have both. His because it was the trailer 2, right? That was his.
Yeah, it's the newest. It's the last trailer, so it'll be trailer 3, because he wanted me to do the trailer to really announce at the beginning. So it'll be the trailer 3, that talks about the doc real quick, boom, 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 gives the date, and then it gets into his video, because that video itself really explains a lot. That, even he, as we started talking, he didn't know this stuff, and he was blown away by it. And again, I didn't know all this stuff. So we learn from each other, bro. I know the history of hip hop,
Right.
But Randy was really the one that really dropped a lot of these jewels, you know, because he studies Latin music, right?
Right.
So that's not really my thing. So we collaborated like that. So yeah.
I think I have it here. I'm looking right now.
Okay.
Actually grabbing it. I mean, we live. We do this all the time, so we good.
Awesome.
There's no pressure here.
So while we wait, Doctor, can you give me your opinion on why you believe they're so angry when we say that we played a part in that culture?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that they're very clear with, you know, that a lot of things have been stolen from them, you know, musically. And so their, you know, idea is, you know, this comes from us and you guys came later. So, you know, and that's debatable. It's easily debatable, you know, because we don't, you know, I could go into that, but the later is the problem. It's not, you know, it's not later.
Right.
We're there at the inception, you know. So
and you mentioned for the people they don't know what you said, FBA or F.
Yeah, FBA.
Okay, what is
Black Americans?
The foundational Black Americans.
Okay.
It's a group. Yeah, it's a group.
Okay.
They call themselves a lineage group. You know.
Oh, so they the Hebrew Israelites of hip hop.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
All right,
Hebrew Israelites would say they were, but yeah. So you know, it's that, you know, and I've already debated them, and that those debates are on my channel, but it's you know, at this point it's ridiculous to keep going back and forth with them. I've kind of decided I'm going to just let the work speak for itself, and they can take the information and do what they want. Make no mistake about it. Hip hop culture comes from Black Americans, New Yorkers, and Jamaican Americans, and Jamaicans from Jamaica as well, because that's Kool Herc, that's Flash. You know, these are Caribbeans, right? So those three, what they're trying to say is that we're saying Latinos created hip hop. We're not saying that.
Yeah,
Nowhere have I ever said that.
Can't say that.
No one culture created hip hop. It is a multicultural thing that happens in the Bronx.
Well, I told you before, and we've talked before, I feel like it's Bronx. For me, it's Bronx culture, and you know, one of my issues, like, I don't really debate it, because just like I've told you, and we've talked a few times on the phone, and I've told you I wasn't there, right? So I can't speak on it definitively. I can only go on what I've heard, and I've been in these rooms with pioneers plenty of times, with legends plenty of times, and you guys know my connections here to that. And when I've been in these rooms, this isn't the discussion. Nobody even questions it. And I saw somebody put up, you know, they were all discussing amongst themselves, because that's usually what, you know, you get a group of people that all agree and they kind of stick in their bubble, right? So sometimes I'll pop in and just to see what the conversation is. And one dude had said that there was the same thing that you had said before, that there was no contributions from anything. Nothing sounds like this. Nothing sounds like Puerto Rican in our hip hop. And what was the other point that I had? Oh no, when did Puerto Ricans being part of the creation of hip hop start? They attribute it to the 50th anniversary. So these are people that are like in their 30s or whatever. So they're like, oh, this hasn't even been a discussion until the 50th anniversary. Then all of a sudden it was like Puerto Ricans wanted to be a part of this. I'm 40 something. Okay. I don't know a time in my life when I haven't been submerged in hip hop. Like I wasn't there when it started, but I damn sure was born into it. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at my whole life, this has never been a question. It's always been the narrative from the very beginning. It's actually not till now that we're hearing that we're not a part of it, that we're just guessing this. It's just now that we're hearing that.
Right.
So in 40 something years of my life, this has been what we've been a part of this culture. This is our culture. This is my culture. This is what I've grown up in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in these rooms, and these same pioneers, they look at each other like brothers and sisters from the same block.
Absolutely.
They're not sitting here making a separation on it, because they're like, we grew up together. We went to school together. We helped each other's parents together. I took care of your mom when you had to, you know, go up, you know what I'm saying, the block, and had to, you know, and go away for a while. Like, these are people that grew up together. They live together. They function together. I've never seen this be a discussion in those rooms. I only saw it be a discussion online. And to me, it all started when Jamar went on Vlad.
Right.
And when he made the statement he made, ever since then, it's been a snowball effect.
Right.
And more people have caught on. But the crazy part is, all these people are in their 30s and their 40s. And I won't debate them, because, again, I wasn't there. But I will say this. It's going to be up to you to convince me that the people that I'm around that were there and are pioneers, recognized ones at that, when their story is what I've always known. So I'm supposed to believe you, somebody from the internet, over people that I'm actually around that were there and are pioneers. I mean, it's gonna be a tough sell, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can believe what you want. You can feel about it how you want, if that's what you want to go with. But I'm not going to try to convince you. But if you're going to try to convince me, it's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It'd take all those people in all those rooms to turn around and say, okay, yeah, they're right. And I don't see that happening. So,
that's right. Yeah.
So the documentary really goes into detail. What it sounds like is it goes into detail about rhythm, about the decades prior, how it built it, how that sound is part of the foundation, right, of the breaks.
Right.
Which kind of makes sense, because if you think about B-boys solo, like, it's a lot of Puerto Ricans. It's why Charlie Chase was he's one of the B-boy favorites. You know?
Yeah. The original breaks, again, the first rap records, you know, both on Sugar Hill and Enjoy, utilize the sound of these breaks. Tito Puente is on first rap album, Sugar Hill Groove. You know, why Tito Puente? Why choose a salsero to come and rock out on the timbales? Why? Because you were looking for that sound. Right. That's the Latin descarga. That's the go off, right? So we see that there. We see it on the breaks with Curtis Blow. That's another Latino, Jimmy Delgado, who is rocking out. So you know, Spoonie G's Love Rap. Yeah,
these are iconic records.
Yeah, you hear the conga rocking out. You know, James Brown's "Give It Up and Turn It Loose." That's a Palo rhythm. That comes from the Palo Mayombe. That you know. I mean, come on, man. Like, Africa is the root, no doubt. But the problem with these guys is that they don't trace their lineage to Africa.
Not at all. They're actually against that. Yeah.
Yeah, they start here, and so we trace it to Africa.
And they're saying that it's American culture. But here's my thing with that. I don't necessarily disagree with them there.
Right.
But here's the thing is that if we're in the Bronx and we have Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, we have blacks, and we have other cultures too in the same area, right? It's all American culture. That's part of what American culture is. It's a blended culture with different people coming with different elements. And I'm not going to sit there and say, you know what, there weren't some elements that didn't come from the South. There probably was. There definitely was. It's a combination of cultures in New York City.
Well, that funk, you know, funk, you know, that's the South, right? But then the Latin flavor that comes in, that's from, you know, bomba, that's from mambo, that's from, you know, you just hear it, and it's undeniable. And I mean, if you can listen to those, and the thing they say is, well, those are not Puerto Ricans or Latinos playing these in these bands. These are Black people playing it. I'm not disputing that.
Right.
For instance, James Brown's excuse me, James Brown's "Give It Up, Turn It Loose." Right? I think that's 1969, something like that. The conga player that plays on that, the balo rhythm, where you hear that break, clap your hands, right? So who was he? Well, his name is John Griggs. John Griggs played before James. He played with the Larry Harlow Orchestra. He played with the Fania All Stars. He played with Ismael Miranda. He played with Latin greats. And he brought that flavor.
Right.
In fact, James didn't have conga players before he got him. James, and you're going to see in the documentary, James recruits him. Specifically, we need a conga player because he wants that sound. Right? Something about that sound, right? So it's about the sound, for years. Oh, Jimmy Castor, it's just begun. Jimmy Castor is African American. Nah, he wasn't influenced by no Latinos, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. But then we got the interview where he's not African American. He's from Harlem, lived in Harlem. His Caribbean. His family's from Bermuda. The Bahamas, one of those. Bermuda. So he's Caribbean. So they asked him, early days, before Just Begun, who were you playing, Bob? I was playing with the Latin greats. Me and Tito Puente were rocking stages together. And then they get into It's Just Begun. And who's the influence behind that? Oh, the Latin. He calls it the Latin breakdown in the interview. He says, the breakdown. He said, what inspired that drum solo? Oh, you mean the breakdown? He said, oh, we had to put the Latin in there. That's why we got busy on the timbales. And the guy asked him, I hear a lot of Tito. He said, yeah, Tito was the inspiration. So these guys are inspired. Stevie Wonder was inspired by Latin music. These dudes are not being honest. They're not being honest.
Well, they're trying to treat us like we don't do anything. Like everybody just stood around staring at each other until they decided to create something. It's like we're all humans here. Like, there's been dancing and drums and throughout cultures and history for thousands of years. Like, stop it. Like it.
Absolutely.
It's a human thing.
Absolutely.
And music is a human thing.
And that's So, definitely, the Latin breakdown, hip hop's Latino connection is really what we wanted to show, that we're not an afterthought. We've been a part of it from inception. Then the debate is, well, when's inception? So you got different people saying different things. Let's just call it, let's just say the 70s. Because you got people saying 71, you got people saying 73, 75, 78.
They all argue about it. Yeah, they all argue about it. Who started what? Which DJ was a disco DJ or a hip hop DJ? Was it a disco party or a hip hop party? And it's like, come on, dude. Like, for me, culture takes time to create. You got to cook it. A culture takes time. This is a collection of things, of art, of language, of customs, dress, fashion, way of talking, ways of believing things. If we're talking about culture, this takes time. You're talking about 5 to 10 years of things really coming together. So yeah, I'd say the 70s is pretty fair to say the 70s.
70s, but here's the thing. The 70s is where we see the elements, but we don't see hip hop culture under the umbrella of one thing until the 80s.
Right.
And that's easily 81, and that's Africa Bambaataa. So that's when we see the culture. The 70s had the elements. Graffiti writing predates all of this.
What year did they call it hip hop?
Yeah.
What year did they call it hip hop? Like, when did that? Do you know?
81.
That? 81.
81. Yeah. So some say 82, but it's 81, 82, and that was Africa Bambaataa, who put it under the umbrella. Codified it as a culture, and easily by then. Okay, let's say you want to argue, y'all weren't there in the 70s.
Right.
Easily by then, we're knee deep in the game for over 49 years. Latinos from the early 80s. So even if you want to say, no, you weren't there in the 70s at the beginning, which we were, but okay. But
we definitely were. I mean,
we got
TBB
longevity.
is, I mean, they were 75, you know?
TBB is 75. I mean, so, and they're even trying to deny that.
Oh, stop it.
Which is funny. So, Abby is also in the film, and Abby breaks down TBB's history. And again, we bring it from the early music all the way to the culture, and then we end the documentary with the ultimate question, and I gave everybody an opportunity to answer that question. Are Puerto Ricans guests in the House of Hip Hop? And it's an amazing answers that came out, as to why that's an impossibility.
Yeah, that's wild.
So,
that's wild to me. To even question it is wild to me. I've been living this culture my whole life. Stop it. Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. You've been getting a lot of heat for it. I've been seeing and the discussion started off small. I saw little pockets of debates go on, but now it's become a bigger discussion. I was with Charlie.
Really, but that's a lot of that, bro. These are guys who weren't into this discussion, and they're watching each other's channel and they're seeing, oh, that discussion will get me views. So let me just put a thumbnail up and say Puerto Ricans were not part of hip hop. They're gonna get views because it's such a hot topic. They're not in this for the long haul. They'll be gone tomorrow.
But I believe, but do you believe that they actually believe that? Because I do believe that some of them really feel like, oh, they're trying to steal our culture.
Yeah, I believe they believe that,
and they wholeheartedly feel that. And they'll bring up rock and they'll bring up other things, where other people took from there. But my thing is that, I mean, that's kind of what hip hop is, isn't it? We're the culture that samples. We're the culture that took equipment that already existed, music that already existed, and creating new things out of things that already existed. Is that not what hip hop is?
Absolutely.
Feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you can't say it's. Listen, the only element of the culture that I would say that was created exclusively by African Americans are the MCs. The other elements are multicultural. Graffiti is multicultural, and black kids are not even the first writers. It's white kids and Puerto Rican kids.
Right.
And that's not even in the Bronx. That's in Washington Heights and Manhattan. It was citywide.
Right.
But then the DJs, it's multicultural. Come on. We're talking about the hip hop DJs. So Herc, Bam, Flash, Breakout, Chase, Tex DJ Hollywood, the Disco Wiz, Casanova Fly, all of these, that's multicultural. The B-boys, multicultural. The MCs, and keep in mind, when the MCs come, late 76, 77, there's not a lot of them. I mean, you could count them on your hand, right? It's really just, it's Melly Mel, it's Cowboy, it's Kid Creole, Flash, and the three MCs. Then you have the Funky Four, not the Funky Four plus one more, but just the Funky Four, and that's Shyrock, Raheem, KK Rockwell, Little Rodney C, and then you have Whip a Whip.
Shout out my boy Whip a Whip. I had him walking sideways in New York. Shout out Ruby D too.
So those two. So even then, the first generation of the MCs, you had two Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
But the majority of the MCs were Black Americans. No doubt about it. It's not debatable. And then as we keep going, we have Master OC from the Fearless Four in the documentary. And he said something I didn't know. Him and Tito founded the Fearless Four. Two Puerto Ricans. I didn't know that. That's not widely known. This is what I mean. In the background, people don't know what Puerto Ricans were doing in the background. They're producing. They're discovering people. They're putting people on. this is what I hope to just bring out in a spirit of love. This is not even really addressing them, the foundational Black Americans. And I want to make something clear. When I say foundational Black Americans, I'm not talking about African Americans. I'm talking about this specific group, this lineage group that has this agenda. That's not all African Americans, right? So we're not talking about, African Americans in hip hop as a whole. We're talking about this specific group, which, they're not even from New York, many of them, but there are some.
Some of the leaders of the group are not even from there. They're like from Mississippi.
Yeah.
So stop it.
Yeah, Alabama, Mississippi, and then they live in LA now, and so.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Now, so it sounds like though you're just answering the question. What did we contribute? Okay, here's the contribution, and here how it's spilled over through time. And this is why we're part of this foundation of this thing. We're not saying that we created it. We're not saying that, but we're also not saying that we weren't here and contribute to the creation of it either.
Right.
Because you're not going to tell me that I didn't put some sauces and something in the pot and that I didn't help cook. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah.
It just don't make sense.
I say this all the time. Like you can't cook a cake with one ingredient.
Right.
Like it's a hodgepodge it's a gumbo of different flavors. But that's why we got the word salsa. Salsa was a gumbo of plena, bomba, rumba, different flavors that came together and created a new sound. And, people that are honest will acknowledge. But, I expect the pushback. I expect, and, I've just made it up in my mind. I'm not responding. I'm just going to, keep on going. Let it speak for itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is about being honest. I mean, if I look at salsa, I can't say that Black Americans didn't contribute to salsa because that wouldn't be true. They did contribute.
No,
I actually saw somebody say that. Well, we didn't help you create your stuff, so why you got to help us create ours? And I was like, actually, you're wrong. You did help us create our stuff because you gave us elements and ingredients as well.
Well, they were musicians.
Yeah,
they were musicians within bands. But the one thing that you won't see, you won't see anywhere, and I've looked for it. You won't see anywhere where there's a African American salsa band, or an African American salsa band leader, or nowhere. And we've looked. It's not that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But you see salsa in Japan. You see salsa groups in China. You see, so. In the other South American countries, but definitely African Americans were, instrumentalists in some of these bands.
Yeah.
So those Chinese people are definitely taking over Puerto Rico, son.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. They do it better than some of the freaking Puerto Ricans.
They cook better. They cook better food sometimes. They talk better sometimes than a Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I remember when I went to my grandmother's house in Santa Isabel. Solo, you remember after I graduated, I went to Puerto Rico for a minute? So my grandmother lived in Santa Isabel right there by Ponce. And they had this Chinese restaurant that was right there in the village. And bro, the most bomb Puerto Rican food / Chinese food, and the Chinese people spoke better Spanish than I could ever imagine to speak. They were more Puerto Rican than me.
That's a fact, bro. It happened to me last year when I went.
Yeah. And this is the thing about culture, especially at this time. At this time in history, we have blended more than ever before. We have cars, airplanes, boats. We travel across the globe within weeks, days, hours. We're a very blended species at this point. So it's kind of
absolutely,
it's kind of hard to segment certain things, and I think the discussion is important, man. What are 3 things that you learned about the that you learned in this journey of creating the documentary that you didn't know?
Yeah, again, not really making the connection of the Latin descarga, right? So that was important, right? Just understanding what do you mean? What is a descarga? So Randy turned me on to that term. Now I knew what it was because I've heard it. I've just never heard the term. And then he just sent me a bunch of videos. And I said, oh, they're just going off. He said, yeah, that's the definition, is to go off. And so that was something that I, didn't know. And then looking at Bomba from Puerto Rico and seeing how, the cipher of drummers, and in the middle is the dancer who plays off the drummer, right? So it's a call and response, which is what you see in hip hop. Again, we're not saying that's the precursor, but we're saying look at the similarities, from that style of music of the 1500s. So, and then what would be the third thing that I learned that I didn't know? A lot of things that Felipe Luciano said, right? Like talking about jazz and how he talked about how if it was not for the Cubans coming across, the Gulf of Mexico, jazz would have been very different. It was the Latin tinge, that Latin flavor that totally, made jazz. We're not saying we created jazz. We're saying that before jazz is the big bands. That's not, some people would say, well, that's still jazz. It's a different sound. Right. You start to get jazz more as you get towards, Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, Chick Webb. As you start getting there, that's when. But we're in all these groups. That was the other thing. We're in all these groups from the early 1900s. People like Rafael Hernandez, Bob Escudero, Juan Tisol. These are Puerto Ricans who were playing instruments at the highest level in Puerto Rico that were recruited to be in these African American bands, these big bands, right? Now they're not bringing any kind of flavor from Puerto Rico. They're playing what's put in front of them as these are mostly brass musicians, right? They're playing, the trombones and all that. But it's really Juan Tisol that now changes to this new flavor. Right. So, yeah. And, when we talk about descarga, that's exactly what B-boys do. What they're doing it with their body. They're going off. It's a descarga. It's an improvisational jam session, right? Which you do see in different types of music, but descarga is mainly Latin music. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. There was the documentary that I went with Charlie to go film, the one that Nicholas did. Did you see that one?
De la Calle,
yeah. So what I found interesting is when they went to Mexico on that episode, the guy talked about the troubadours that would go around doing these improvisations, and how when hip hop came to Mexico, they made the connection between the two things. They're like, oh, our culture has already done that for this many years. This kind of matches. So that's why it like pulled them in. That's why hip hop pulled them in, because it had some similarities. Again, human elements.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
How it all connects. So what I want to do is I want to show the trailer, and then you said you wanted to play the theme song for this as well.
Which trailer are you going to show?
Well, I have the
first
official
trailer.
I have what I do is I have the first trailer. I have trailer 2, and then I have the official theme song.
Yeah, let's do the first trailer, and then let's do the theme song.
All right. Solo, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's run it.
A certain sound and a certain movement to that sound. This goes back to the plena, goes back to the bomba, goes back to danza. You know what I'm saying? Goes back to palenque, goes back to all these Latin, these Afro-Latin, Afro-Caribbean movements.
I was able to bring a sensibility of not just the known breakbeats, but also Latin records that spoke volumes to the same sort of ethos that the breakbeats had.
But then you had the mambo era, like I said before, the whole Afro-Latin jazz fusion, which predates a lot of the funk.
The Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latin sound, the clave, the cowbell, the cascara, which is the side of the timbale.
There's no way you could be brought up in those 5 boroughs, walk in the 70s, 60s and 70s, walk around the street and not run into somebody playing congas in the street.
Latinos, primarily Puerto Ricans, have always played a major role in hip-hop culture, unequivocally since day one.
Puerto Ricans are not guests in the house of anybody. Certainly not in the house of hip-hop. We were there from the beginning. We helped develop it. We formulated it in some cases.
Nice. Okay. You had some pretty interesting characters there. Johnny Juice. You had Bobito.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Felipe Luciano in there. Shout out my brother. My brother's he's part of Young Lords and also TBB as well. So it's E-Man drums. He's the house pad beater during the review shows. he does percussion himself, so he's very big into percussion. He's very big into that side of the fence. So these topics interest him a lot. So how hard was it to get some of those people on there? Because you had some pretty interesting characters there.
Yeah, man. Thank God for people that would just helping me make connections. Felipe was a godsend because I'm just friends with his somebody. I'm not sure if it's his grandson. There's somebody related to him. I'm not sure, but I know him, and so he was like, "What about getting Felipe?" I'm like, "Can you do that? Like, is he gonna try?" I don't have a budget. Like, so all of these people, man, God is so good, bro. All of these people. No charge, bro. And these people deserve,
Yeah.
I mean,
these are some
they
OGs.
deserve,
These ain't small people. These are people that were like very instrumental. So I feel you.
Absolutely. So Felipe was, a blessing. Babito Garcia, I just reached out to him. Randy really connected me with him. Reached out to him. He said, "What's it about?" I sent him, the synopsis, and he was like, "Let's get down. I'm down. Let's do it." And I wanted him specifically because he played a lot of Latin breaks, and he's a 90s DJ. But then from his show, Johnny Juice was, was a blessing. Wasn't a lot of this wasn't really hard. It was just getting in contact with them and then being able to get them to film themselves and send me the footage. Normally I would go and film them, but I'm not traveling all over the place like that at this point. So, they were gracious, man. They just, got in front of a camera. I told them how to set it up, and they just, I sent them questions. They had somebody read the questions and it went down like that. So yeah, it was a blessing, man. It was a blessing.
Solo's over there getting good nights and shit.
That's what's up.
It's La Familia right there, right?
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that's dope, bro. Yeah, a lot of those people. I saw some of them getting into it with Tariq and all these guys like Johnny Juice and them. I saw them going back and forth a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got a little crazy.
Yeah, man.
I seen Randy sometimes in your chats when you go live. I see him in the chat sometimes.
Randy gets busy. He
be going in. Shout out to the people on our chat. Cam Ortiz, what's up, Bars? Eddie said, "Love you, Nano," from Little Bro. And Brandon Green, he said, "Dr. D." I guess you know Brandon Legacy.
Legacy, what's up, Legs?
Yeah. That's one of the homies too. I just finished recording a track for Sabe, and Legacy's been working on it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Should have thought of Legacy for some music. Yeah.
You could have had some theme music there, right?
Yeah.
So, talking about the music for it, so you have Microphone Prince, another OG over here, right?
Yeah, so that was, I had seen him. He had done something on his channel a while ago with Master OC and LA Sunshine from the Treacherous 3. And so they were talking about the whole lot thing. Now, I didn't know who Microphone Prince was. I wasn't familiar with his music. But then as, we connected and we started to talk, watch this, bro. We start to talk. Cole Rodriguez tells me, reach out to Paradise Gray. And so Paradise Gray is, from the X-Clan and, ran the Latin Quarter in New York. And so Paradise Gray is, a legend. So I reach out to Paradise, we talk, see if I could get him in the doc. And we start talking and he says, do you know so-and-so? And I'm like, I don't recognize that name. And he says, he goes by the name now of the Microphone Prince. I said, oh, yeah, Louis Caban. Yeah, I think I know him. We've talked. And he said, yeah, he was in a group with me. I'm like, what group? And he said, it was DJ Paradise and the Throwdown 4 MCs. So I'm like, wait, what? What'd you just say? So he repeated it. So we finished talking. I got off the phone. I called Microphone Prince. I'm like, Paradise just told me that you were part of a group called the Throwdown 4. He said, yeah. I said, did you do a jam in the Walton High School schoolyard in the 80s? Did you battle a group called the Throwdown 3? He said, yeah. In the Bronx? He said, yeah. I said, what year was that? He said, 83. I said, I was at that jam. And then he tells me, I got the jam on tape. So he sends me the jam. So I already knew. So like Grandmaster Caz and Chase are in the audience. And so the battle happens and nobody can pick a winner. It's wild. Like there's Zulus all over the place. Chapter 7. There's ball busters in it. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm there physically seeing this. And then because they can't make a decision, I don't see him, but I hear him. He grabs the mic, Grandmaster Caz. And he says, I'm Grandmaster Caz and I'm here chilling with Charlie Chase and we're just in the crowd and y'all got to make a decision. I put that in the documentary. I actually have the footage in the documentary. So small world. And then, Prince we started talking and he said, I said, could you do something? Could you do like a theme song? And he's like, yeah. So he went in the studio, man, did this on his own dime and just was vibing with what this documentary is about. And, it's out on iTunes and all that, but he really did it for the doc, but I just let him run with it, man. But so that's how that came about with Microphone Prince. And then he connected me with Master OC from the Fearless 4, who is also in the, in the documentary as a, early DJ. So
dope. And does the song have a title? Have a name to it other than the official theme song?
The Latin Breakdown.
The Latin Breakdown. So we call it the Latin
Breakdown.
Okay. Let's listen to it real quick.
Yeah.
Allow me to make one thing clear. The truth that you're about to hear will be illuminating to your ear. Allow me to break down the Latin breakdown, a takedown of lies being replaced now. Fact focused now, welcome to my open house, to hear the truth coming straight from the horse's mouth. Allow me to define the word descarga, means discharge or go off, is not a genre. The break part of the song, only percussion, not really up for debate, a hateful discussion. Timbales clave, la maraca, la conga, plena palinque, mambo, salsa, bomba. To teach with love, a teacher I must become. So lesson 1, let's begin with just begun. When Jimmy Castor sparked the break dancers, influenced by Latin percussion, it's a great anthem. It helped inspire more footwork than the centipede. For foundational B-boys from the 70s. The Bronx Boys rockin' crew in 75. South Soul Star Child was kicking it live. The Rockwell Association and Rock Steady. You thinking you can handle the truth, you're not ready. Not prepared for what y'all don't know. I James Brown used the rhythms of Guaguanco. You focusing on 50 years of Yankee Stadium. I'm talking 1940s at the Palladium. Duke Ellington legend. Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, Batista Puente, and Mambo Kings become famous. Jazz musicians, Birdland, Johnny Pacheco, Dexter Gordon, Quincy Jones, Ray Barretto. They influenced each other straight from the rip hop. So why would it stop what we got to hip hop? John Griggs, percussion master, the lost star, the brotherhood praying with the finding our all stars. And not just in the crowd, we were the co-stars. We are not guests in hip hop like most stars. Drums, we been drumming since the 1500s. Predate the hate debates we couldn't have seen coming. The element you're forgetting is called brotherhood. But y'all come from a different time, another hood. Allow me to break down the Latin breakdown. A takedown of lies being replaced now. Fact focus now, welcome to my open house. To hear the truth coming straight from the horse's mouth. Fact focus now, welcome to my open house. To hear the truth coming straight from the horse's mouth.
That was like a history lesson in a rap track. Solo, you feel like you just went to school?
That was hard.
That
was pretty hard. That was hard, bro.
Yeah. He said some shit in there. I feel like when we were in school and they used to pull out the rollie with the TV and the VCR and we used to watch. That's what I feel like I just went through right now. That was dope. Yeah. That was dope, bro.
One question for you though. When we show the documentary, I noticed that there was some hiccups. Is that gonna happen during the doc?
You're probably seeing the hiccups because you're on Skype, so it's giving you a feedback from Skype, a feedback loop.
Okay.
You see it.
So we're not gonna be on Skype during that?
Well, you're gonna be here in person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you won't have to worry about Skype on that one.
Okay. Cool beans.
Yeah. So
awesome.
So the only ones that really experience those weird hiccups is anybody that's on the calls like these video calls. It's only because it does that loop back, so you don't see the actual full output. You can watch it later and you'll see it. So let me ask you one more question. Out of the people that you interviewed here, what are some of the ones that you like were your favorites to talk to? Like,
so let me just preface it by saying everybody was amazing. Everybody. But I think like a lot of the deep history stuff. People like Silos Congas. I forgot to mention my man Silos Congas. So Silos Congas is interesting because Silos Congas he plays on the first rap record on Enjoy's label, which is the Funky 4 + 1 More. Is called Rapping and Rocking the House. If you can bring that up. But he's the conga player on that first rap record on Enjoy, period. Right? So, his history just about drumming, he's a percussionist now. And so he just drops the story of meeting the Funky 4 and playing with Pumpkin. And Pumpkin was an early Latino, another Latino producer who, is famous in late 70s, early 80s for a lot of, hits. The Love Rap by Spoonie G, The Treacherous 3, The Body Rock, all of these songs are from Pumpkin, who is Latino, right? So he was one, Silos Congas. Obviously, Felipe was just had an hour with him and just sat with him and just, he just dropped a bunch of great information. Andrina from Andrina's Casa, historian on Borinquen culture. So she dropped some stuff. Frank Rojas talking about the rock dance. Incredible. Like I said, man, everybody, Babito Garcia, Talim, DJ Talim, Joe Conzo. Joe Conzo dropped some jewels, man. I was like, wow, man. Joe Conzo dropped some jewels. Who else?
He took the first pictures of hip hop, which is crazy.
Yeah, man.
You can't talk about. You can't even talk
great.
about the foundation of hip hop and show it without showing his pictures.
That's right. That's right. His pictures are in the Smithsonian. His pictures are all over the world. So, who else? Randy, obviously. Tuffy Questel from Video Music Box. He was really interesting. Abby from TVB, you know.
Shout out
Dolo.
Abby.
You know, Dolo shared some stuff about, you know, his a little bit about his background.
Lito show up on time? Did he show up on time or was he late?
No, I actually went to him. I filmed him at
You're lucky.
at the event that they do in the parks.
Yeah, he was probably late there too.
No, I got there. I got there late. He was already there.
Shout out,
so it was impromptu too. I didn't know I was going to film him. I just went there to just film B-Boys breaking.
Yeah.
And see if I could just use the footage. And then I said, would you be interested? Can I just take you right now and film you over here? And we did it right there. Profo One, who was a B-boy from San Francisco. We have B-girl Asia One, who was responsible for the B-Boy Summit in California. Wow, man. You know, again,
a lot of people. You talk to
Microphone Prince, Master OC, and I'm gonna get in trouble, man. I'm probably leaving some people out. I know I am.
Listen, don't.
But like I said,
just tell them to stop crying. Just tell them to listen.
You forgot to get the shout out to homegirl from Australia and all that.
Right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, man. Come on now.
You were on for that.
That's crazy.
What did you enjoy? Did you besides that? Because I think that was just a very that was one thing in that whole. Yeah. But besides that,
in the first round. Yeah,
I did watch the breaking in the Olympics. I was excited about it. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care. I don't even care if it was washed out. But to me, what I found the most profound thing is that the music was there, especially when the guys went on the next day. The DJs were phenomenal with the music drops that they had, and the B-boys and the B-girls were dope. The ones that were dope were dope. And,
that's right.
And they earned their way there. And these aren't people that like they just started doing it. Like these are people that have been in competitions together. Like you know, I've been around a lot of B-boys and DJs, you know, throughout my life, and that's kind of that's always been kind of like my circles. I actually hang out with them more than I hang out with other rappers. Funny enough. So I see some of these people, and like I know some of these names from those circles. So I know they've been in this culture for a while. And they earned that. And at the end, they actually ended it with peace, unity, love, and peace, love, unity, and having fun. Which, if you know, that's one of the calls, you know, in the early days of hip hop, you know, from Zulu. And to me, it just reinforced the idea that I felt like B-boys culturally have always been the custodians of hip hop.
They're the X factor, bro.
Yeah.
B-boys are the X factor. There is no hip hop without B-boys. It's like the sandwich. So the meat of the sandwich is really the DJs who played those breaks and the B-boys. The ends of the sandwich is the graffiti writers and the MCs, and it makes the sandwich complete. But the foundation of the culture. I thought it was dope, bro. I hear everybody complaining.
I thought it was dope too.
It was a jam to me. They got busy every song. I'll give you an example. The B-girl competition. And I don't remember the names of the two B-girls, right? And this is one of the battles that people were on their feet for. But it was mainly because of the music. So the song that they dropped was Roberto Ruena, Que Se Sepa, right? And this is a Charlie Chase Latin break that he's famous for.
Shout out Charlie, my bro.
So they played Que Se Sepa, the Spanish lyrics and everything, right? But it's you know, it's a break. Those B-girls got lifted to another level. The crowd was up. And this is what I'm saying, like, it's when those sounds come on and most of the people in the doc, they said the same thing. You know, what caused you to really want to go off? The percussions. It was the percussions. When I heard the percussion, that made me want to go to another level. There you go. So yeah, I thought it was great. You know, when I saw Ray Gun, at first, you know, she's doing a little top rock, and then she did, you know, her little kangaroo. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? What's that? I couldn't. I was like, nah, is this serious? Then I just saw a video of her and her husband today, and her husband is her teacher. And her husband was doing some, I was like, I can't even watch this. Like, but I will say this, they did do a BC1 in Australia, and this is where I saw that video. But the other B-boys and B-girls in Australia were getting busy, bro. They were getting busy. I don't know what her and her husband are on, but these B-girls and B-boys were bright, and they were Australian. They made that clear that these are Australian B-girls. So, you know,
breaking's pretty worldwide at this point. Breaking's pretty worldwide. Breaking's worldwide at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
That you know that whole world has been part of, like, when I travel. You know, I've always been involved with, you know, a lot of people on a lot of the OGs of the culture. So I've always been around Zulu. I've been around the breakers, the DJs, and all that. And that's actually one of the parts of my network is when I go somewhere I don't know, it's one of the first things I do. Yo, I got any B-boys out here, DJs, any Zulu peeps, any like that, and we connect right away. It's like, you know, it's like a bridge. So hip hop has always been that, you know, it's been that bridge, you know, from city to city. Awesome. That's dope, bro. Well, I appreciate your time with us. Solo, you got any questions, bro?
Nah, you hogged up all the time, bro.
Nah. Better stop playing with me.
Nah, it was a learning experience. I thank you, Dr. Colon, for coming on. Appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to the documentary. Like you said, I was born into hip hop. I was born in '81. Both parents come from New York. My dad talks to me a lot about that time in the era because he was heavily involved in that. So just to get to know in depth of that, it was refreshing to me. So I thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Thank you, guys, and I look forward to the weekend and just you know, hearing the thoughts of people as they watch it. And you know, I'm not sure how we're doing this. So we watch the whole thing and then having a conversation. That's a long time. It's an hour and 25 minutes. So
listen, if they want to watch the pre-screen, they're gonna watch the whole thing, right? So I think we'll probably open it, you know, quick discussion, like 5 minutes, you know, just introducing it. We'll let people will just watch it, you know. They can chat in the chat room if they want to share their thoughts. We'll probably kick it over here, you know, and just watch it all together, and then and have some conversations. And at the end of it, you know, we'll talk about it, see if we can have a few people that were on there, you know, jump into the discussion, whether they call in or whatever, or if they're there, you know, and then wrap it up, bro. And then when does it release now? You said September 21st, right?
Yeah, Saturday, September 21st, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So you're making sure it's like 8 p.m. on Saturday. It's not like it's going to drop on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's exclusively on YouTube. Yeah. So at 8 p.m. on Saturday, it'll go live.
It'll go live, free, no charge, right?
Free, no charge.
So you're not charging people a bunch of ticket money to get in and go see this documentary at a theater somewhere. Because I know some people,
even if I was doing a pre-screening at a theater, I wouldn't charge money, man.
I got you.
If I can't pay the cast, and that's just me, you know, maybe that's just my Christian conviction, but if I can't pay the cast, I'm not gonna try and get paid. I'm not even monetizing it. I can't because of you know, music. So all the music we used, you know, it's yeah, I didn't clear anything, but it's not a problem with YouTube. So, you know, I've already downloaded it to see what kind of copyrights show up, and there's a few, but it's not anything. I expected that. So,
yeah. As long as you're not monetizing it, they don't really make a big stink about it. So unless you're live and they like to shut down your live, and then they'll let it go later and be like, oh, you're okay. It's like, okay, well, you shut down my live. We won't have that problem on Black Marker. So when we do the pre-screen, there will be no shutdown. It's going to one spot, very private location. None of that happening. So,
and it won't be going through YouTube anyway. It'll be going through the file.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, y'all. Well, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Anybody that plays this later on. Hold
on. Dr. Colon, what is your YouTube handles? So I want to see some of your debates and all that.
So the channel is called Hip Hop History, Origins, and Elements.
Ish. All right.
Hip Hop History, Origins, and Elements. Let me see.
You can actually go to the.
Do I have a handle? I don't even know if I have a handle.
At Hip Hop History Origins is your IG handle for what you're putting out. I see that. So if you go to at Hip Hop History Origins on IG, bro, you should be able to get to all his stuff from there. That's how I did it.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
They have the link to the channel is on my IG. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That'll work.
Looking forward to it.
Sir.
Looking forward to pre-screening it and being part of this. I appreciate you considering us for that as well. So shout out Scheme for hooking it up too. So
yeah, man. All right, bro. We'll talk soon.
All right, peace.
Bless.
Peace, guys.
Por tu camino quiero caminar, Jesús por favor no me suelte. Y si trato de huir como nada, que me lleve la corriente. Tú me libraste la muerte, a mí lo quiero tenerte. En tu presencia quiero habitar y en la intimidad conocerte.
Me caí en una fe, pero Cristo vino a recogerme. Él solo quería salvarme, pero demonios llevaron a perderme. A veces quisiera quitarme, no te niego, tuve que hacerme el fuerte. Par de ellos quisieron tumbarme, gracias al Fader no pudieron vencerme.
Señor, voy detrás de ti, sin ti no puedo vivir. Quiero verte. Y si me aparto de ti, porfa no me dejes ir. Quiero tenerte. Señor, voy detrás de ti, sin ti no puedo vivir. Quiero verte. Y si me aparto de ti, porfa no me dejes ir. Quiero tenerte.
Sin ti no vivo, ahora para seguirte sobran los motivos. Yo era un tipo cautivo, tú recibes el humilde lejos del altivo. 3 días, 3 noches como Jonás entro a la matriz. Clama al Señor, me arrepentí, caí en tierra seca, ahora estamos free. Ahora su gracia me guía el camino, de los malos pasos me saco. Bajamos para el caserío, sacamos la Biblia, ellos sueltan los dracos. Se lavaron las manos Pilatos, eso el agua viva de este casco. Nunca estamos secos sin la champaña, esto no es Monaco. Yo puedo verte en la vida, en el amor, la naturaleza. Cuando levantas a aquel que tropieza, cada vez que hay un plato en mi mesa. Ni la angustia, tribulación, hambre o persecución, desnudez, peligro o espada nos podrán separar de su amor. No dejes que yo huya, tu palabra que me influya. El diablo tirando puya y yo no corro por la suya. La gloria es tuya, yo quiero verte, quiero tenerte. Los salvos no veremos muerte. Diga el débil, me siento fuerte, porque Cristo va a sostenerte.
Yo quiero tenerte, no quiero perderme. En ti yo confío permanentemente. Tú sabes que no me muevo si no vas al frente. Tú sabes que sigo aquí porque tú eres la fuente. Y si no fuese por Dios que enderezó mis pasos, ¿dónde estaría? Insistió y me formó para llevar el mensaje que te salvaría. Si sientes que hay mucha tormenta y la marea está muy alta, no corras más de su voluntad y como Jonás comienza a clamar.
Guía mi paso, Lord, guide all my step. Dime a dónde iré y por ti yo voy. No me perderé, en ti confiaré. Tu palabra dice que tú eres fiel. Y sí que lo eres, no permitas que yo desespere. No, niego todos esos placeres que proyectan fantasía como en todas las redes. Yo prefiero cumplir con tus deberes. Andamos clean por la raya que el padrastro no quiere. Toda la gloria es de él y gracias a Dios. Pa' usarme no va a poder. No te me alteres si tu rutina interfiere. Lo que él quiere hacer contigo no lo entienden todos los seres, okay.
Que me tiren de la borda si el camino al que voy no me conviene. Saca de mí lo que estorba y hace que a tu voluntad yo no llegue. Mi corazón de tu amor se sostiene. Me sacaste de la oscuridad, camino en la luz y no hay quien me frene. Y no sé cómo pasó, pero tú llegaste a mi vida. Si mi viejo yo murió, cuando me diste la salida a mí. Tú tocaste mi puerta y no lo pensé 2 veces para abrirla, yeah. Me mantengo firme, fiel a tu promesa hasta verla cumplida, man. Voy detrás de ti, sin ti no puedo vivir. Quiero verte. Y si me aparto de ti, porfa no me dejes ir.
Yeah, Tejada. Wow. Yo quiero verte, Jesús. Este es el remix. Dime, Mike Soto.
Tu alto.